World Youth Day tomorrow. Today, Pope John Paul II met with various government officials. Tonight, he'll lead an outdoor prayer vigil for tens of thousands of young people. Now let's go back to Cheryl, live in Toronto, for a look at an extraordinary pilgrimage today. Right, Cheryl?
All right, well, you know, Rob, the Pope knows this is an invigorating crowd, so he spent the day trying to conserve his energy in preparation for tonight's vigil, where a Joliet woman will get an opportunity to meet him and perhaps receive the kiss of peace from the Pope, as hundreds of Chicagoans will share in her experience after a day that began with a walk of faith. They are young pilgrims on a mission of peace and praise as they make their way to Downsview Park, the site of an all-night vigil and Sunday's Mass. During the 5-mile journey of hardship, these young Catholics share concerns of faith and carry the gift of survival.
No matter what you'd have to carry, the price is the same. I mean, we get to go have Mass with the Pope tomorrow morning and, you know, spend the night with, you know, everybody else that in the Catholic faith. So it's like I'd carry twice what I have to be able to do this.
Awesome seeing everybody with their flags waving around and chanting their songs in their own languages. It's really exciting.
The angel opens her eyes.
Once they arrive, they will be greeted by a crowd estimated at 1 million. All will spend the night outside in the elements. The slumber party is not just for fun, but a time to honor the Holy Father. This group from Woodstock arrived at 7 a.m. to ensure seeing the pontiff deliver his message as close as possible.
We went last year to Rome, or actually 2 years ago, and we were behind the stage and everything, so it's really cool this year to actually be where we can see what's going on.
It's really like unbelievable to be here with all these people from all over the world, and just like seeing the Pope is like really, really cool, and it's like something that I've never thought I would be able to do.
At tonight's vigil, Elise Ainsworth from Joliet will get the lifetime opportunity to receive communion or the kiss of peace from the Pope. She is one of a few with this very unique invitation.
It's very, very exciting. He's a very, very holy person, and I understand that meeting him is even more of an experience than anyone expects.
This will be home for the night, just a sleeping bag and a pillow, a lesson in sacrifice. Cardinal Francis George says last time he did this, he was a young Boy Scout, and it's a good learning experience for these young people.
A life without any hardships would hardly be a human life. And when you look back, you'd wonder, because it's the conquest of the hardships that create character, that create the stories of fiction or of history, and that conquest with Christ and immersed in his own self-sacrifices.
And Cardinal George says that the message will be even more special because of the conditions that they will hear the Holy Father. Now, in about 30 minutes, the pontiff will touch down by helicopter, and he will travel in the Pope-mobile through the crowds at Downsview Park, greeting all of his followers, and then he will make his way to the stage to begin tonight's prayer vigil. Coming up for us tonight at 10, we will have his message and how Chicagoans will receive that message and use it as support and encouragement throughout the night, because it has just begun to rain here in Toronto, making it a soggy evening for the Catholic pilgrims who are waiting to hear the Pope's message. That's the very latest for now. Cheryl Burton, ABC 7 News, Toronto, Canada, back to you.
All right, Cheryl, we'll talk to you a little bit later in the show. Thanks. And after a break for us, Mike's Venetian.
Some 1,400 Chicagoans are there too. NBC5's Marianne Ahern brings us the latest from Toronto.
Anna and Derek, they've arrived here at Downsview Park after walking through the streets of Toronto. Hundreds of thousands of teens will be camping out here all night. Joining them later, Pope John Paul II.
Everybody got their stuff?
Early this morning, they began their pilgrimage, Chicagoans from Tinley Park to Highland Park, hiking through the streets of Toronto.
It's awesome. It's been like the best trip ever.
I think everybody has a difference to make if they want to. You know, it's just the heart and the calling and the kind of faith you have.
For those who arrive at Downsview Park early, like this group from suburban Woodstock, there is a reward, a spot close to the stage. But it does take some international negotiations.
The Italians who wanted to start World War III and burn us with their cigarette butts.
Now,
say, get out of here.
Father, this is a church event here.
That's what they said. Yeah, we said, hey, we got here first. Fighters, keepers, losers, weepers. But we said in Italian.
If it looks more like a rock concert than an outdoor mass, so be it. With mud on their feet, a cardboard tent to shelter the steamy sun. World Youth Day gives the young people a say-so in the way they worship, and they hope that continues once they're back home.
I would like to see our church more united, closer together, and so that we could experience more things together.
Francis Cardinal George says the young people are promising a more public show of faith.
To make their faith more public. And that's not going to be easy, and I was very encouraged by that.
So later tonight, Pope John Paul II will be joining the World Youth Day crowd here at Downs View Park, arriving by helicopter. And as only these young people can do, the celebrations will continue. In Toronto, Marianne Ahern, NBC5 News.
Marianne will have more from the vigil on the NBC5 News tonight at 10.
As we've been saying, it's been a cloudy, wet
Crowds gather for a massive vigil. Pope John Paul II appearing determined and inspired by the masses of young people there. NBC5's Marianne Ahern filed this report tonight from Toronto.
Good evening from Toronto. At Downs View Park, where the vigil is going on tonight, the crowd estimated at 600,000, many more than anticipated. And Pope John Paul II spoke in a clear voice about September 11th, terrorism, and the choices facing young people. He arrived by helicopter at Downs View Park, and Pope John Paul II then motored through the crowd in his Pope-mobile. Thousands and thousands of young people here from across the world.
I invite you to be the voice of the young people of the whole world.
Earlier today, they walked through the streets of Toronto, pilgrims from Chicago with backpacks full of spirit and excitement. Pleased they took on this journey despite the tough scandals facing the church at home.
This is actually probably a perfect time because people can come together and see so many Catholics together at one time and, you know, learn that, you know, there's so much that we can give to everyone else through Catholicism.
The park filled early, a sea of flags and cardboard resting spots. Some sleeping, saving their energy, others willing to play in the mud. And then this group from Woodstock, Illinois, protects a spot close to the stage, explaining to the Italians they weren't budging.
Yeah, we said, hey, we got here first. Fighters, keepers, losers, weepers. But we said in Italian.
We really wanted to get close to them, so we said, you know what? We're getting there as early as we can, and we're going to get a good spot.
By the working of the Holy Spirit.
At this vigil, John Paul II denounces the events of September 11th, calling on young people to choose faith and good over evil.
It is not possible to reject or ignore God without the meaning man.
While the Pope rests tonight at a convent in Toronto, the young people camp out overnight at Downs View Park. Tomorrow's Mass, the public is invited as well. Some organizers are expecting 1 million people to be there in the morning. From Toronto, Marianne Ahern, NBC5 News.
Stay with NBC5. Marianne Ahern will report.
It's a huge crowd tonight, and I expect an even bigger one tomorrow.
Pope focused on the theme of World Youth Day 2002, You Are the Salt of the Earth and the Light of the World. The symbolic ceremony was filled with hope and inspiration. Rain threatened this ceremony tonight. However, miraculously, somehow it stopped as the Pope arrived over the airspace at the vigil site. With the backdrop of an overcast sky, the Pope's helicopter landed on a wet surface, greeted by a rain-drenched crowd that is expected to swell to 1 million before tomorrow's Mass. The Pontiff made his way to the stage to deliver his message, and it was well received by his followers. The Pope appeared tired but invigorated by a crowd that has been anticipating this moment for a long time.
It's so much better when you can see everything live than when you're so much further away.
But I hope we just all prepare for the Mass and then get ready and get some reflection in. But obviously it's not going to be that. Just also to build up the energy that we're going to be feeling for the Mass.
These young pilgrims from Tinley Park started their journey to Downs View early this morning by foot, carrying their gifts of survival on their backs. The hope is to endure a night in the elements and create new friendships with others sharing the same faith.
I think it's going to be awesome because it's going to be like a bonding for everyone who's here for the same exact thing to come together.
This group from Woodstock made the Walk of Faith early this morning to get a spot as close to the stage as possible. This will be home for the night. Cardboard boxes, plastic draping, and sleeping bags, the only items used for shelter.
I don't know, I've never camped out with that many people before, so we'll see how that goes.
So you take them, to a place where there's no showers and the food isn't so good, you sleep on the ground. Maybe they suffer a little bit, but maybe they realize, okay, our faith demands a little bit of sacrifice too.
Tonight, as the sun set, there was reflection on a week of celebrations for the Holy Father and pilgrims who joined together from different countries but sharing the same beliefs.
I've felt so much love here. There's so much peace, and I hope to take it home, take it to college, and, just show the world, more love and more peace, because that's what the world needs.
Amazing the depth of some of these young people attending this pilgrimage here in Toronto, Canada. Well, this Sunday Mass begins tomorrow morning at 9:30. The Pope is scheduled to preach a homily and deliver a papal blessing and prayer. And for those young people I spoke with today who attended the last World Youth Day in Italy, they say once a Pope blesses and gives you prayer, it is life-changing and everlasting. That's the very latest for now here in Toronto, Canada. Cheryl Burton, ABC 7 News. Back to you in Chicago, Rob.
All right, Cheryl, we'll talk to you a little bit later in the show. Thanks. Meantime,